The film opens in Afghanistan's Kunar province. There, Tony Stark is in a Humvee talking to some soldiers. He is a brilliant CEO of the top military defense contractor. A group of anarchists known as the Ten Rings eventually attacks Stark's caravan. Tony is wounded by shrapnel from one of his company's weapon and taken by the anarchists. The film then cuts back to Las Vegas 36 hours earlier. There, a presentation gives us a peek at Tony's prosperous past. Stark's distinctive and smart mind rapidly took center stage. Tony lost his parents in a vehicle accident when he was 21 years old. Obadiah Stane, a friend and business associate of Howard Stark, became the company's acting CEO following his passing. However, a few months later, Tony became the youngest CEO of Stark Industries after inheriting the corporation from Abu Dhabi. James Rhodes had the privilege of presenting Stark with the Apogee Award following the conclusion of the lecture. Stane accepted the award in Stark's honor because Tony wasn't present. While Stark was gambling in the casino following the event, Rhodes brought him the prize. A journalist named Christine Everhard approached Stark for an interview just as he was ready to depart the hotel. Everhard asked him about the commercial methods used by Stark Industries to manufacture weapons. "The world would always need weapons to keep the peace," Stark said, sidestepping her inquiries. Pepper Potts, Stark's secretary, reminds him of his journey to Afghanistan when he comes in the workshop the following morning. After that, Stark drives from his mansion to the aircraft branch of Stark Industries. He and Rhodes board the aircraft and take seats. He is welcomed by military personnel upon his arrival in Afghanistan before introducing the Jericho missile from Stark Industries. In his lecture, Stark explains that the missile is so strong that it will defeat the adversary with just one shot. Following the successful presentation, Stark has a drink. Following this, Stark departs in a convoy car. Stark sustains injuries in an unexpected rebel strike. The film then jumps back to the present. After a while, he awakens to discover an electromagnet fastened to his chest and connected to a car battery. According to Yinsen, a fellow prisoner, the electromagnet prevents the shrapnel from killing him by getting into his heart. Someone raps on the door while they are conversing. They are welcomed by Abu Bakr as Yinsen tells Stark to stand up. Bakr clarifies that he wants Stark to assist them in rebuilding the Jericho rocket, but Stark declines. They then begin to torture him. After that, Bakr shows Stark how the Ten Rings have an amazing array of his Stark Industries armaments, like his guns and missiles. Bakr assures him that they will grant him his release if Tony constructs the Jericho missile for them. Stark consents to the task, but he is certain that Bakr will never set him free. After witnessing Stark's heartbreak that evening, Yinsen tries to console him by telling him that what he has witnessed is Tony Stark's legacy. He instructs him to take action and put things right. Tony understands his current predicament and gets to work. Stark and Yinsen covertly construct a potent electric generator known as an arc reactor to power Stark's electromagnet while feigning to be working on the missile. Stark explains to Yinsen his armored suit construction escape strategy. After that, they begin working on the suit. One day, Raza, the Ten Rings leader, interrupts their labor. Raza swears to put red-hot coal in Yinsen's lips until Stark instructs him to stop, since he thinks they are lying to him. The Ten Rings learn of Stark's scheme and ambush the workshop as they are turning on the suit. In order to delay the anarchist and buy time for the suit to power up, Yinsen gives his life. Using the armored suit, Stark battles his way out of the cave, eliminating any anarchists he encounters. When he encounters the dying Yinsen, he advises Tony to live his life to the fullest before dying. Furious, Stark exits the cave, sets fire to the anarchist arsenal of weapons made by Stark Industries, and takes off on his suit's jets. The suit is then destroyed when Stark crashes in the desert, and his buddy and military liaison, Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodes, finds him. Tony returns to America and meets up with Obadiah Stane and Pepper Potts, his assistant. He holds a news conference to declare that his business will no longer produce guns since he has witnessed the conflict they can bring when they end up in the wrong hands. Stane intervenes, pushes Stark away from the stage, and tries to reassure the crowd that there is nothing to worry about. Next, Stark meets with Stane next to the enormous arc reactor. Stane tells him to think twice about the choice since he thinks it will destroy the business. Based on his work with Yinsen, Stark claims that they should examine the arc reactor technology once more. He supports his claim by demonstrating to Stane the arc reactor in his chest. Returning to his Malibu estate, Stark asks Potts for assistance in disposing of the defunct arc reactor in his chest. Pepper assists in replacing the two reactors while retaining the original, which is now inscribed with the phrase, "Proof that Tony Stark has a heart." Tony also constructs the Mark II, an improved and more streamlined version of his suit. Using tiny repulsors, this suit can fly with complete control. Tony tries to break the global altitude record set by the SR-71 during the suit's first test flight, but the suit freezes up in the upper atmosphere and begins to fall to the ground, almost killing him. To avoid more freezing problems, Tony switches the suit's foundation material to a gold titanium alloy after he gets home. While he's doing this, he spots a news show that's about his company's yearly charity event. He finds out that he didn't receive an invitation, yet he still chooses to go. When he gets to the party and proceeds to fetch a drink, Christine Everhart confronts him and tells him that Stark Enterprises has been supplying weapons to the Ten Rings ever since Tony returned. Obadiah is questioned by Tony about this. Stain tells Stark that he is the one who fired him from the company since he has no other choice. Tony sees a news report about the Ten Rings carrying out massacres in Yinsen's native country when he gets home. Tony puts on the freshly finished outfit and takes off for Afghanistan in a fit of rage. When he gets there, he destroys the weapons of a group of Ten Rings who were in the middle of invading a settlement. Rhodes directs two F-22 Raptors to fire down the unidentified target after the conflict attracts the notice of the U.S. military. Before leaving the area, Tony wrecks one of the planes by mistake while attempting to avoid them. He then saves the pilot when his parachute fails. The fragments of Stark's prototype suit are retrieved from the desert by the Ten Rings in the meantime. Obadiah goes to see Raza in Afghanistan. In the hopes that Obadiah will make suits for the Ten Rings, Raza offers him the remnants of the suit. However, Stain betrays them by using a sonic taser to paralyze Raza. Stain then gives his troops the command to murder Raza. Stain instructs his scientists to have a new suit reverse-engineered from the wreckage while he is returning to Stark Industries. After explaining everything to Pepper at home, Tony urges her to break into the Stark Industries database in order to look into the arms trafficking that his business is involved in. She visits Obadiah's workplace and learns about his unscrupulous activities. In addition to learning that Stain had originally recruited the Ten Rings to kill Stark in Afghanistan, Potts also finds evidence of Stain providing the radicals with weaponry. She relays the information to Coulson and his group while barely escaping Obadiah's detection. Stain's scientists inform him that they are unable to complete his suit since they are unable to replicate Stark's arc reactor. Furious, he visits Stark's house, uses a sonic taser to paralyze him, and takes the tiny arc reactor off of his chest. Then he lets Tony die. Reusing his original arc reactor, Stark saves himself after crawling to his lab. Stain, meantime, plugs the arc reactor into his suit and turns it on. Obadiah puts on his suit, attacks Pepper, Coulson, and the agents when they attempt to arrest him, and almost kills Pepper in the process. Stark finds out that Obadiah Stane is going to put Pepper to death. He assaults him and pushes Stane away. Without his enhanced reactor to run his suit at full capacity, Stark loses the battle against the other. Obadiah then follows Stark as he soars through the air, catching him in the process. He begins to plummet when his suit shuts down and freezes. They both touch down on the top of the headquarters of Stark Industries. With no other choice, Tony gives Potts the order to overload the huge arc reactor there. By doing this, a tremendous electrical surge is released, rendering Stane unconscious and leading him and his armor to fall into the exploding reactor, where they both perish. Tony explains what happened last night at a news conference the next morning. He is given a cover narrative by Agent Coulson to explain what happened that night and why Stane died. At the press conference, Stark starts to tell the cover story before abruptly declaring,
"I am Iron Man."
When S.H.I.E.L.D. director Nick Fury pays Stark a visit at his house in the post-credits scene, he says that Iron Man is not the only superhero in the world and that he has simply joined a larger universe. This is where the film finishes.